This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm JP.
This is our Monday short. So, throw at doordisc.com. So, THROW at doordisc.com. Let us know what you think of this list we're about to put out. So, most iconic. So, we dropped it to 10. We had, 14, 15?
Yeah.
We'll do the honorable mentions, but we dropped it to 10 of what we could think of. I'm sure there's more out there, so let us know, and let us know if there's anything else that you think of. What we'll do is we'll start with our honorable mentions. So our first honorable mention is going to be Nico's Albatross. I believe it was at USDGC.
Yep.
Somewhere there.
Yep.
But it was Nico's Albatross and his craziness that ensued afterwards.
Yeah.
So I love it. I think it's great. And I think it was Ian who was Brian, like you could pay him with a Arby's gift certificate and a disc and he would still love playing.
Yeah.
So
It's just kind of funny watching everybody's reaction in the background as well. Like you see people after he just goes running off and like,
yeah. It is awesome. So the next one is
Paul McBeth's 3. Or no, we can't say Memorial because that was only 16 down. It wasn't a perfect 18.
Are you yeah. I lied. Okay, so 2.
2 18 under rounds.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah. Deglow and Waco. And probably get some hate for that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's incredible. To do it in the same year, that's unheard of.
Right. And the reason we took that one off is because Paul McBeth, we thought about just putting Paul McBeth as one of the iconic moments of disc golf.
Yeah. Like he just has so many great moments in the game, in the sport, that it's hard to narrow down what exactly. He just embodies so much.
Exactly. He's been in even in some of the ones that aren't his accomplishments, he's still involved in them. It's just,
right. He's there.
It's crazy. And then we have the KJ Ace at Maple Hill, hole 16, slip, almost killed himself, and air shot ace that didn't seem possible.
Yeah,
it was done. And there's a lot of other ones that we talked about, especially ones that hit ESPN, and there's a lot of those little ones, like Ricky's Raptor legs came apart, where he aced the forehand ace on, was that USDGC as well? No, I don't remember where it was, but he had a forehand ace where Raptor legs came from.
Yep.
That was another one we talked about. So we'll get into our list. I'll start, if you don't mind. We're going to start at the bottom, or what we thought was the least of these 10, or I don't even want to say the least. It's one of the most iconic moments.
In 10.
One of the top 10. So we'll start at 10 by what we believe. So I believe it is Kona's contract. And the reason why I think it's Kona's contract, it's not because she got paid the same amount that Kristen Tatar got paid. It's the fact of why she got paid. And it's showing that the disc golf world is impressed and values social media,
right?
In my humble opinion,
right?
Because she's not a top 10 player.
Borderline.
Borderline. She's in that realm.
Yeah.
But for the female field, the female field's not as deep as the MPO.
No.
So when you talk about top 10, like, it's pretty slim pickings in that regard. So to be out of the top 5, I wouldn't say is like super recognizable names, and Kona, I think, pushes outside of that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean she doesn't have the ability or anything, but she is been given the opportunity because of her presence in other areas of disc golf.
Sure.
So I see that as being top 10.
Yeah. I mean, the shift away from the focus on winning is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it's apparent with her contract.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So number 9.
We got 2014 Worlds. Epic battle between Paul and Ricky.
Yep. So Paul and Ricky, Worlds. And it's the famous grassy knoll or sandy knoll, I guess.
Right, like the basket up on the
Yeah.
hill, and Ricky kind of muffs a throw
Forehand approach, yeah.
yes, and hits a tree, and he ends up getting it there. And Paul and Ricky both kind of roll down the hill into the same area. Ricky ends up hitting his putt, and Paul follows up to win.
Right. I think we'd look at that as being one of the iconic moments of disc golf simply because that is kind of the start of a rivalry.
Yes.
That is, I think it was there before that, but that's truly what kicked it off, brought it into the mainstream. Because I think it was just shortly after that where Paul mentions to the LA Post that Ricky chokes.
Right.
Not in those exact words, but basically.
Yeah.
So next one is it's Paul's 2015 season. So he never finished off of a podium.
Mm-hmm.
It was just dominant, utter dominance.
Right.
That year.
Yeah, you'll never see. I mean, probably never see another season close. Like the amount of work that he put in, like just, yeah, I don't think you'll see it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He was so on top of his game. And this is not to discredit, but the fields have become stronger and more competitive for many reasons. Not saying that Paul couldn't have that dominant of a season again, because 2019 was pretty darn close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was an awesome season for him. That was his first year in Discraft. Like,
Yep.
Did he finish off? I think he did. I think he finished fifth.
Yeah.
And that was it. Other than that, he was on the podium almost every other time. So when I look at it, it's just there's so many different courses. The tours go in so many different directions. So I don't think that Paul can have that, because I don't think there's the focus that there had been in the past. Like everybody was grinding, going to the same tournaments. And now it's just simply not the case. He doesn't need to do that. And I mean, it's going to be hard to match that type of season for anybody at any point now.
Right. Yeah. Especially when players are taking off of, not maybe hitting up as many stops or not having the top tier talent at some of the tournaments. Like you'll still be beating some players, but not having everybody there will be different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at some of those old ones, like Feldberg's like at every single one of them. You look at some of the guys that were at every single one of them. Those guys just aren't around anymore. And I don't think you have that top card that is the same anymore. I mean, you usually see one of the top 4 or 5 guys on there, but outside of that, who knows who's going to be on that card? Because who knows where they're playing, how they're playing. Like just,
I mean, take a LBC.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would have predicted, that
Gannon and Drew Gibson.
Yeah.
Out of the field that was there.
Yeah.
It was incredible. All right.
Next, we have Kristen Tatar's contract. And this is big because this was the first female contract that was openly the fact money was
Yeah,
discussed.
you actually saw the money. So
actually saw it, yeah.
So Paige Pierce's contract was an honorable mention to us only because we don't know anything about it.
Right.
There's no numbers out there. We know that it is the biggest female contract out there, but what is it?
Exactly.
So we don't have anything to base it off of.
So now Kristen's contract has pretty much set the gold standard for what top female players can get.
Exactly. And that's what Kona's contract was based off of.
Right.
To make that big splash, I'm sure that's where it was.
And I don't remember, did Katrina mention what she was getting? Okay.
No.
I thought maybe in an interview somewhere she had mentioned it, but maybe not.
Nothing that, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, so, the $500,000 contract for 4 years, traveling stipends, putting her up while she's here, making sure that she has all the discs, her husband comes or her fiance comes, like,
yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, they're really putting a precedent in her and her play. And she truly is play motivated. That $500,000 is for how she performs.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, she's got a decent social media following and she does enough. But I would think incentive driven and, strictly performance.
Yes. Yep. All right. Prodigy, 2012. So Prodigy comes onto the scene, sweeps up a whole bunch of pros, and actually gives them contracts. Some players had ownership stake in the company where they could get shares of the company, but Prodigy basically started the movement for the current player contract. And I don't think there's any more pivotal moment in player contract and pay than Prodigy up to this point in our list. I think this is the biggest thing that has happened as of 2012. I don't think there's anything else you can point to that changed the game that much.
Right. Like players could actually get a contract and rely on that to kind of be out on the road and support themselves rather than just having to go by winning tournaments.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that, that allowed, I think Rick went there. I think, there's a lot. Coling was there. Eula Bailey was there.
Paul was there for a little.
But I don't know.
Or no, they
Paul-
tried to get him, I think.
They tried.
Yeah.
Paul was always Innova
Yeah.
until Discraft. He had a DD clothing sponsorship, but that was it.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we feel Prodigy is your number 5 there. Well, number 6, excuse me. Five. So, did we?
I think that
one
was
too
6.
many. Okay,
Yeah.
our 6.
So our number 5 is the DGPT and NT National Tour merging, or DGPT taking over the NTs. And this will just kind of set the standard for what the Disc Golf Pro Tour or any tour for now. It's just the standard, until something else comes along, maybe another tour, maybe, who knows down the road, but for the foreseeable future, the landscape is the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Silver Series. And it's going to be, who knows?
Yep. And I think what it has done is taken the Professional Disc Golf Association into a association that manages the game rather than an association that manages and promotes the game rather than an association that runs events.
Right.
And they've given rightfully so, they've given the Disc Golf Pro Tour the reins of their most elite events, aside from USDGC, because that's owned by Innova.
Right.
But outside of that, they run everything now.
Yeah.
And like I said, rightfully so. They are doing a good job. They set the precedent in organization, standards, advertisement, money. They're legitimizing the sport to another level. And you got to give some credit to Steve Dodge because he's the brainchild. I mean, he saw this well before it even happened. Rainwater and Spring are the ones that are taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
So we have next is the Philobatros. If you're not familiar with what the Philobatros is, just look it up. But Philo Brathwaite hits a albatross on a seemingly impossibly albatrossable hole.
Right.
Was that a proper? The reason why we believe it is one of the most pivotal or one of the most iconic moments is it's one of the biggest, one of the most viewed shots for disc golf on YouTube, but also the coverage it got on ESPN was incredible.
Yeah. Every year I think I go on social media and it's brought up. Like you just, it's so funny because I was like, ESPN had it on not that long ago. I was like, I feel like I just saw this a couple months ago.
Exactly.
And just the amount of replay value it has is incredible. Just watching the disc S around that corner and come back and just land in the basket. And then, he goes, picks it up, tips the hat. And,
Yep.
Yeah,
and not a cooler guy for it to happen to,
right,
too.
yeah.
Awesome. So, and our next one is the
2003 USDGC playoff 10-hole battle, 10 playoff hole battle between Barry Schultz and Climo.
Yeah, and the two juggernauts, the two titans of disc golf at this point.
Yeah, right. The era. It's just
there was nobody else.
unbelievable.
If it was Climo and Schultz, everybody was playing for third and fourth and fifth.
Yeah.
Like if they were there, that was what it was. And even Schultz was like, when Climo was there, I was playing for second.
Yeah.
Even he admits that. But when those two were on their game, it was so fun to watch.
Absolutely.
And you can go ahead and jump online. You can watch this. I mean, it is epic. They play
It's a marathon.
3-hole loop, right? Is what they
yeah.
do. They just over and over, they play the same 3 holes. And it's awesome. So jump on, watch it. It's still out there. It's on YouTube, but
Yeah.
super iconic to see those two juggernauts
Go
at
see
it.
some history. You know,
Exactly.
yeah. Go watch what I don't want to say old timers, but
Yeah, exactly. So, number 2 on our list is Macbeth's contract. And I will harken back to his initial contract, but I think his 10-year, $10 million
Yeah.
is just as pivotal. But his initial contract, because it was the first time anybody made any sort of money and publicly put it out there to say, look at this is real, we value.
right.
And from that came Ricky's contract. From that came, I mean, on and on and on. And every other person in the sport is using that for leverage.
Right.
And I mean, like Eric Oakley is one that's using it for leverage. I'm sure Gibson's using it for leverage, but Eric's using it outwardly. You know, he's said that he's using this for leverage. So I think that's, I mean, awesome. Awesome. And then last but not least, our top one.
The holy shot.
And Macbeth is involved in this one too. So the holy shot that steals the 6th world championship title from Paul Macbeth and goes to James Conrad
Yeah.
and makes MVP from a fringe brand
Right.
to the brand,
Yeah.
you know, at least for a few months.
Right. I mean, for, James to hit early and just barely make it across.
Way out of position.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many times I watched it, but even now Disc Golf Network that's their commercial.
Yes.
They just keep replaying that shot, and everybody the crowd, like the reaction from every pro that's in the gallery, like there's no, how do you explain it? It's, it takes your words away.
And it is where were you? I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
Me and River Pulaski, I believe I said his name right. We were remodeling a house and he was doing some drywall for me and I had it playing in the background. I was cleaning out a bucket and then I stopped to watch it and I just happened to look. I was like, Paul's got it in the bag. And then River hears me like screaming like, oh my goodness. And he goes, what happened? I go, he just threw in like a 200-foot, turnover, like completely out of it. And I was just, I mean, where were you?
So Alyssa had just gotten home from doing some grocery shopping, and Dempsey and the kids were kind of watching something. So I was watching on my phone or like doing dishes at the time or something. And I just kind of had it playing up. And she had walked out into our garage to go get something. And I just yelled, oh my God. And she comes walking back. She's like, what? And I was like, James Conrad just hit the most iconic shot, like ridiculous shot I've ever seen. She's like, you weren't even that excited for the birth of your children.
It's not as iconic.
I was like, you don't. Yeah, I was just like, it was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Like, I have no other way to explain that in disc golf.
No, and even ESPN. I mean, like it got so much birth and growth, and it's even argued that is probably one of the greatest moments, or up there in the greatest moments of sports.
Right. Like the pressure, the situation, like you will never find perhaps another shot.
No, the magnitude of that shot was off the scales. And for him to, because there was still a lot of money on the line, for him to abandon all of that, James Conrad, to abandon all of that and just say, I'm going for it. Because that circle's, 45 feet? So it's about 90 feet in diameter. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Or circumference.
Yeah,
circumference. Right? I don't know. We're not math people here.
But then, and then even, so that forced the playoff. And then they go to the, I forgot what hole it is. Big overlook.
16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, with Island. You
Mm-hmm.
know, James ends up getting it pretty close.
Yeah.
And then Macbeth sails it
Yeah.
into the water. And that's the end of the story. But the adrenaline rush that he must have been feeling going into that hole, was just like, just
Yeah.
jittery and like, yeah.
Oh, exactly. And to cement, so he had a USDGC title,
Yep.
so he's a US champion, and now a world champion, and took Paul Macbeth's 6th championship from him.
Yep.
I mean, it was in his hand. Like he was
All he
already,
had to do was lay up and
he was already figuring out how he's going to put that 6th claw.
Yeah.
Right. He's gonna go get one of the cats in Key West, the 6 claw cats in Key West. But yeah, he was already figuring out how he's going to put the 6th claw on there.
Yeah.
And yeah, Conrad said, nope, not today.
Nope.
Not today. So, all right. Any other honorable mentions as we were going through this that you could think of?
Not off the top of my head right now.
No, not me. I'm sure there will be more, and I'm excited to see more.
Yeah.
Once again, throw@doordisc.com. Let us know what you think. Send us your way.
Or reach out to us on social media.
Yeah, or any social media. So door_disc_golf. And the link tree's there. Like I said, my OnlyFans is really hard to find, but every other link is there. So Facebook, our podcast link, TikTok, all that stuff is on there. Places to donate, places to. And JP, tell them where you are.
I am one night owl on Instagram.
And there it is.
Yep.
So, most iconic moments in disc golf. Keep it subpar. Peace.